Well, I think Kwanzaa is important because it's an example of commemorating and being focusing on, once again, about the family, community, and focusing on African and African American culture. And so it's a time where people can come together as a family and they can talk about events that have occurred in their life for the past year, because it's like just like any other holiday celebration where people come and they think about all the things they've done that year, and because it occurs after Christmas, for 7 days after Christmas and closing out at January the 1st, it's an opportunity for people to talk about what they have done that year, their contributions they have done to the community, anything that has occurred in the family that could be good or bad. And it's a time to sit around and play games and just kick back, you know. And of course there's a lot of good food over the course of the 7 days. And then there's the opportunity at the end, because the first has to do with reflecting on what the year hopes to be, reflecting on oneself. How has one been who they are, or have they been the person they really want to be or are to be, and thinking about setting goals for the coming year. A lot of different places around the country, they have sort of a communal or festive celebration. So there are different organizations that will set aside, you know, certain days during that week from the 26th of December through the 1st of January. And people can go and see different cultural performances. And since this is an African American celebration, they're going to see some things that come out of the African experience. So they'll see different African dances, they'll see different stories that have its grounding in African folklore. There have a variety of different kinds of food based on the African cultural tradition. Then there have artists, meaning painters or something like that, showing their works, and they have activities for the kids to play games, do artwork. Well, I think based on what I just mentioned, it's not just important just to Black history, but I think it's important to American history, because it has to do with how everyone can be a better human being and be of service to their community. Of course, the concepts that Dr. Kareem was trying to do is make it based on the philosophy of the concept coming out of Ma'at, or the ancient philosophical principles of Ma'at. But I think it also has to do with just how one could improve their families, improve their community by doing service in their community, building up their community, and also being a person who is interested in learning about their history and reinforce that history in their family. Well, if you think about the 7 principles, or the 7 things that every day that you light the candle, the family comes together and they talk about those 7 principles and how they have instituted or implemented the 7 principles during the course of the year. I think it's just about, once again, making oneself a better human being that could be of service not only to the family, but to the greater community. And so I think it flows with many other concepts about being, I know it has nothing to do with religion, but it also has, it has something to do with just being a quality human being. And if we look at certain things that go on, I'm just talking about Cedar Rapids or Iowa City, there are certain kinds of organizations like the Dream Center that's in Iowa City. I don't know if you know about that, the Dream Center in Iowa City. This black guy has come together to work with schools and young people in Iowa City, have a place where they can develop and be more responsible citizens in their community. And so he's working with the kids as well as working with the families. And that flows with the whole concept about the 7 principles, because you're talking about unity, you're talking about self-determination, you're talking about building collective responsibility, having faith in one's self that they can achieve all those kinds of things. So that's sort of an active way, showing, actually performing actually what Kwanzaa is all about. Even though they may not say they're doing Kwanzaa, but they are following the precepts of Kwanzaa. And then there's another organization in Iowa City called the Black Voices Project. Once again, following the principles of Kwanzaa, we're talking about working with families, bringing unity to the community, making sure the kids understand about self-determination, making sure people learn about economics, so and buying from and the black businesses in the community. You know, you go to those black businesses so you can make sure if you're going to spend money, spend there first. And so those are some practical ways I think that the precepts or the principles of Kwanzaa are being implemented on a daily basis in the community. Now, if you look at something like even the NAACP or the Urban League, some of those organizations also follow some of the precepts of what Kwanzaa is all about, you know. And even when you look at Dr. Martin Luther King, when he established the Southern Leadership Congress, all those things have to do with following some of the precepts of Kwanzaa, even though they might not say they're that. But if you're talking about unity, self-determination, collective responsibility, creativity, and talking about faith, the last principle of Kwanzaa has to do with faith. All that is internalized in all those different organizations I just spoke about.